So I want to talk about something that's been bothering me recently with regards to this new series that Sony's been putting out of movies about the Spider-Man villains, except they go out of their way to make it so that they are no longer villains. This is something that anybody who is a fan of comic books will look you dead in the eyes when you make that suggestion and say, that's the stupidest fucking thing you've ever suggested. Never suggest it again. Go back to, being true to the characters as they are and as they have been presented for years, decades sometimes, right? And it's really weird because it started with Morbius and it was a failure. And it was a failure because Morbius is this really cool, really dark character who is a vampire because he had this blood sickness and he injected himself with DNA from a radioactive vampire bat and he became a vampire. And he started to drink human blood and he discovered Spider Man's blood and he became obsessed with it because he was convinced that if he was able to drink Spider Man's blood and in the process kill Spider Man, he didn't just need a. It wasn't just a sip. He needed to fucking. He needed to like empty the guy out. And he was convinced that if he did this, he would no longer have this thirst. So you have this villain, you have a good motivation for him to be the way he is, and then you have a good reason why he should be very dark. This should be almost a horror movie, but played from the perspective of the monster. And he's horrified at what he's doing, but he can't stop himself. And this would be an amazing movie that almost everybody would want to watch, right? It's a different take on the very very happy-go-lucky, very comedic focused Marvel Cinematic Universe. It'd be amazing. Everybody would want to watch it. But they made it a comedy, and so nobody wanted to go watch it. Go figure, right? They wanted him to be good. They wanted him to be a good guy, and so they just went out of their way to make him a good guy. All right, fine, right? Fine, whatever, fine, we can deal with it. We just won't watch it, right? And the result was as shown. Nobody gave a shit about it. Nobody went and watched it, and so that movie failed. We even got him to we even got him to put the movie out twice, and then we didn't go watch it again, and it was hilarious, right? And now they're doing the same thing with Craven. They took Craven, this psychotic murderer convinced that he is this apex predator, and the only way that he can stay an apex predator it's if he can go and hunt all of the most dangerous prey. And so he becomes obsessed with Spider-Man because he thinks that Spider-Man is this greatest of prey that he can beat. And then in the movie they make him a vigilante. And so now we've got the Sony Pictures CEO, Tony Vinciquerra, saying that they're rethinking the future of their Spider-Man villain spin-off movie, saying that if they put out another one, it's going to get destroyed no matter how good or bad it is. No. No, it won't. It will not. It will, in fact, not do that because people wanted to like Morbius. You made them not like it by making it a bad movie. And so now, even with everything, it's still only a 5.10. It's not a terrible thing, right? It could be a lot better, but it's not terrible. And the same thing with Craven, right? You've got some shots in the movie that are okay, but like the writing is bad, bro. The writing is bad. The writing is the problem. You're sitting here saying that you know better, and you don't. You don't know better. Like the arms dealer strategy, defend Spider-Man. No, it's dumb. You made the wrong decisions again and again and again and again. And what these guys sometimes fail to realize is that people's memory when it comes to entertainment is really, really short, right? If you put out bad, 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 and then you put out really good, and then really good again, and then really good again, nobody's going to care about the bad, 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 bad stuff you put out before. Why? Because you're now putting out good stuff. So let's say that they did the Venom stuff and they went out of their way to make Venom no longer a villain. But then again, Venom was kind of no longer really a villain in the comic books anymore. I think he should have stayed a villain. I think that added to a lot of his interest as a character. Like he's monstrous, he's villainous, he does all these things. But if you're going to make a movie, he needs a little bit of a softer side, right? Which is why they should have, if they were going to make a Craven movie, it should have just been a bloodbath on screen of him going through villain after villain after villain after villain after villain. And then eventually he discovers Spider-Man. He has a fight with Spider-Man, gets his ass kicked by Spider-Man, and then he's like, I must kill Spider-Man. I must beat him. And so if you do this, you can set up a Sinister Six movie, right? Because you did Venom. You did Craven. And now you just have to pick, and you did Morbius, so now you just have to pick 3 more, right? And Sinister Six, it's like, yes, there's the original Sinister Six, but they've changed multiple times throughout history. So you could very easily just have a completely new cast of Sinister Six. But, you know, he was in the Sinister Six. Craven was in the Sinister Six. So you can't just get 3 more random Spider-Man villains that you like and have them become the Sinister Six. But if you're going to do that, you need Spider-Man. Because all of these villains are Spider-Man villains. That was me, not you. They're all Spider-Man villains. They only exist because of Spider-Man. And so, in order to put them in a vacuum, you need to ignore so much of who they were originally that the original fans aren't going to go watch it. And new fans aren't that interested because they're not that interested in comic book movies. It's a niche, after all, right? Marvel was able to break out of that niche by making excellent movies, and then they stopped making the excellent movies, and now the niche fell apart again, right? So please, Tony Vinciquerra, this bullshit that you're telling yourself of, like, oh, people just hate us. No, they don't. People just don't like the movies. If you want to make villain Spider-Man movies, the movie needs to end with them obsessed with beating Spider-Man. So if you're going to do a Green Goblin movie next, he needs to end the movie obsessed with killing Spider-Man. If you're going to do Doc Ock, same thing. Electro, same thing. Shocker, same thing. It always needs to end with Spider-Man. Because if it doesn't, what is the point of making a movie about a villain from Spider-Man without Spider-Man? What are you doing? Are you stupid? Do you not like making money? Or do you just think that you know better than decades of writers? You don't. You're a CEO. Let the writers do their job, bro. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to this stuff. You don't. You're an idiot here. I don't care how smart you are. If it comes down to writing a good story, you're ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no experience. And it says here, like, before becoming the chief executive and chairman of this part of Sony, he was in an equity firm. He doesn't have experience. Right? And he was 70 years old as well. He probably hasn't read a single Marvel comic book in his life. Probably has not done that a single time. Right? So, you know, they've done Jumanji, they've done Bad Boys. By the way, revitalized Jumanji-ish, right? The Bad Boys movie was peak. The Bad Boys movie was amazing. And they've done the Spider-Man movies as well. But then they're trying to do this series about these villains that are so interconnected with Spider-Man that they have only ever fought Spider-Man. So why are you doing that, man? You can't do that. It doesn't work. You're fucking turning a thing with a fucking screwdriver instead of a sprocket. It doesn't work. You're hammering nails with your hands instead of a hammer. It doesn't work, bro. Okay, he's going to step down and hand control to current Sony Pictures Chief Operating Officer Ravi Ahuja in a planned succession that was signaled for months. But the question is, how much is that going to actually change the direction of the company? How much is that going to make people in the company actually care about the product that they're making? How much is it going to make them care about the character and the franchise and actually want to make a story about, you know, the character instead of taking the name, taking some parts of the aesthetic, and then just making their own thing up? Because that's what keeps happening with these major corporations that take over these franchises that we love for so long, right? It's happened with Star Wars. It's happened with Lord of the Rings. It's happened with so much shit. It's happened with The Boys. And it initially was better than the comic books, and now it's just as bad. It seems like they have no passion for the product because they have no passion for the franchise. And so they talk about it like, yes, we're huge fans. We've been watching it since the 70s, and it's something that came out in the 90s. I remember growing up with it, and it's only been out since you were in your 40s. And so they lie. And it's okay to say, yeah, I wasn't really a fan of it. I didn't grow up with it. But recently I've been looking into it, and it looks really good. And I really like it. It makes me want to work with it. And that is true, and it gets people excited. But instead they choose to lie about it. And they choose to take the rough shape and mold it into something else. And the end result is the Wheel of Time show and Rings of Power and whatever bullshit Star Wars slop Disney's putting out, and the recent Star Trek shows, and all of this other stuff. And none of it is good. And I'm begging you, man, from the heart, I want to give you my money. I do. I have so much of it. I don't, I'm broke. But still, I want to give you what little I have. You just need to make a good product. Please, bro. I'm dying over here. I don't know why I said it like that. Anyway, guys, look, leave a like. Let me know what you think about this. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Cheers. Watch out for the explosion.